Lee Sin never should have fallen off quite as hard as it did. It's more of a preferential thing with a lot of players, and I think that depending on how much aggro you are expecting to see, like once we settle into this, like, hey, these are the 4 decks that everybody's picking 3 of, it becomes a little bit easier to hedge your bets against something like that. And here we are going to get Lee Sin versus Shen Fiora for round number 1, which I know players have talked about. This one as a pretty close one that is slightly favored towards, I want to say, the Shen Fiora player, if I remember correctly, mostly because the Fiora win con is very much online and alive as a dream in a matchup like this, but also Lee Sin doesn't handle the wide boards particularly well, and now with multiple rallies that you can't nopify like Golden Aegis, it just helps solidify it a little bit more for Shen Fiora.
All right, well, we'll see. We're getting Lee Sin to get started here right off the get. Gonna start with a Duskbringer, and man, so strong in this deck too. Duskbringer, you know, we talked about it in some of the Nightfall decks where Duskpetal Dust is actually just spectacular as a Nightfall activator, avoiding having to play the Nightfall cards without Nightfall just to get the second one. In this case, now we're using it possibly as a Lee Sin activator at some point as well. So lots of uses for the card here in this matchup. Definitely a good turn 1 play. And following up with an Eye of the Dragon. So I think WhatAmI is definitely starting off with in a good spot here, especially with Lee Sin in hand.
And Peps is going in for the River Shaper attack. Not too many punishes that WhatAmI could have here, given that Peps does have the sharp sight, but we are going to commit it. And this has to be a hush, right? You don't really want to hush this. You want to save this to get rid of barriers or kill Shens and Fioras. But when your opponent commits a spell into their River Shaper and you get to play double duty in both denying that spell and the River Shaper value, it's too juicy to pass.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, 100% for sure. And now we actually, in the side of pepscola, unfortunately, there is no units. We got a Cythria, but guess what? Not turn 6 yet. So this is going to feel real bad for pepscola, not able to get the aggression going early. And when you're playing barrier up against Lee Sin, you got to get the aggression going early. That's how you win this game. Now Lee Sin is just going to sit on the field, control the game, control the board, and probably win the game.
And there's no punish for this out of pepscola. Even if we had something like Screeching Dragon single combat, WhatAmI actually does have the capabilities to put the barrier on the Lee Sin with 2 spells and 3 mana. So instead, pepscola just floating the entire turn, and WhatAmI should feel like he's in an absolutely dominant position now after your opponent doesn't develop for effectively the first 5 turns of the game. Can get a Cythria down now, but now we have Gravitum and Lee Sin online.
Yeah, that is not fun. You know, this is probably one of the worst starts that Peps could have here. Not like even allowing WhatAmI. It's bad enough you have Lee Sin coming down. Now you have Lee. I still want to call Aphelios Keanu Reeves after the fact. Is that okay?
I still wanted to call River Shaper Guillermo del Toro.
It's like he just looks so much like an emo, like Keanu Reeves. I don't know. But it's bad enough you got Lee Sin down this early. Now you have his little buddy Aphelios here that's also going to control the board. This is not a 1-2 punch that you just want your opponent to easily get down and not have a response for. And this is exactly what's happening right now for Peps. And there we go. Yeah, Lee Sin gonna do what he does best. Control the board, picking off the Brightsteel Protector. That is not fun. And I think, what are we at here? Oh, you know what? We're not in client, so I can't actually hover. I think Lee Sin is at 4 or 5 right now, if I were to guess. I think 4.
You bet your life on
no,
that?
Absolutely not.
All right.
But, I mean, with the guns coming from Aphelios every single turn, it's probably going to be a foregone conclusion that he levels up pretty quick. I would not be surprised if it's this turn.
Not a problem that we're really going to have. I just want to check something. Okay, make sure real quick that both these guys are still running Zenith Blade, even if it's only a 2 of in the list of WhatAmI, because he does have the Aphelios. I was going to talk about how, normally in a situation like this, you'd still feel like you're a ways away from actually winning the game because your Lee Sin doesn't have Overwhelm. But because we are playing the Aphelios variant of this deck, we can get the Infernum. There's not really a punish on the side of pepscola for you playing a developmental Overwhelm ability like that. It's not like you need to go for an open attack against Shen Fiora. So things are just looking better and better and better for WhatAmI.
Yeah, this is like the dream board. Like, especially, you're going against a deck that doesn't play things like Ruination. So you don't care about having this much committed to the board. It's never going to be a risk that you just straight up lose your entire board because, Peps isn't playing the obvious addition to this deck, which is Judgment, as I'm sure Boulevard would agree with. Not going to really worry about losing the entire board here. And we can just sit back, relax, assemble the combo eventually, and just go for game. We might not even need the combo, in all honesty. We might be able, depending on how many combat tricks Peps draws, like single combat, we have one concerted strike in hand. We might be able to just go with multiple Dragon's Rage to the face over a couple of turns here, and that's actually going to close things out.
Yeah, and Peps is doing what he can. We're trying to find a way to sort of cheese out this Fiora win condition, but there's just so many answers in WhatAmi's hand. Even if we decide that, hey, I want to take the Nopify onto this Gravitum, and then we're going to get that cute little bug that everybody loves, where the Gravitum and the Nopify just want to snuggle with each other. We do still have the Hush mana, and we have Hush available. This Fiora win con just cannot happen for pepscola.
Yeah, definitely feels bad. How many Hushes WhatAmI main decking? Is it 2 or 3? Two. Okay, yeah.
So he actually he opened with both copies, mulliganed one away, and then found it again at like the right moment. And you were right. WhatAmI just gets powered up in these tournaments. I mean, look at this opening.
See? All right, sorry. I'm just throwing that out there. All right, it's not you. Trust me. It's just WhatAmI. He's just a beast. I don't know what you want.
You say that like sorry's watching instead of playing.
He's probably
his game.
playing this game, but when he looks at the VOD, okay, he'll see my apology again. All right.
Why would players only watch the VOD if they got casted?
Well, I'd like to think they watch the VOD if they lose to get better Boulevard. Okay, Jesus.
Yeah, but sorry's not playing this game.
No, who?
So he's not going to watch this game.
No, you never know. This is pepscola. WhatAmI, man? You're gonna get some intel on the competition, right? It's always good.
You get that by just looking at the deck list.
No, so actually, perfect example. WhatAmI, right? When he plays the Targon Shadow Isles deck. I've watched him enough to know that he a lot of times will try to go for that aggressive opener. So there is, I think certain things that you can pick up on when people play certain archetypes is their play style. After you play WhatAmI enough times where he's playing Lee Sin, you got to pick up on something that he usually does. That's a read, right?
I don't know. I feel like the times that we've watched WhatAmI open aggressively with the Shadow Isle Invoke deck, it wasn't necessarily this is the way I want to play the deck. It's just I open 2 Sky Shadows. What else am I gonna do?
There's no choice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like these are the cards that I drew. I'm gonna put them on the table.
Well, here's the first of what will probably be many Dragon's Rage. And we are just going to go for the straight up kill here and get completely blown out by one of 5 different things here. Pick your poison. We got to deny. We got to hush. We got to, I think Pale Cascade. No, Pale Cascade doesn't prevent it. I don't think. No. No. It's still going to be at 7. But yeah, there's still plenty of options here. So WhatAmI?
We do have deny. Yeah. So that's really all we need. And that's going to actually not kill the Fiora. It is going to put her back in hand because of the barrier. So at least Peps can hang on to that, but it does critically reset the kill count. So despite being leveled, just going back down to 0 out of 4 instead of 2 out of 4. And even just getting those last 2 kills seemed like an insurmountable mountain in front of Pepscola, who will now just not be able to do it. Yeah, there's the surrender.
All right, so WhatAmI going to go ahead and take game 1 there in his tournament of choice, OLS, which he continues to still pick up. I'm gonna think things are rigged if he wins this tournament. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna think somebody's in the background somewhere helping out WhatAmI here. What's going on? What's going on?
I thought we were gonna start asking him to shoot commercials to the OLS. Hi, I'm Jordan WhatAmI last name, and I choose the OLS.
Oh man. So we'll see. I mean, he's already off to a pretty quick start here versus Pepscola. See if he's able to take it 2-0 or if Pepscola is going to make this interesting, bring it to a game 3. And now we see Peps actually with the similar deck that I was actually just talking about, that WhatAmI usually tends to just run pretty aggressively. We see the Sky Shadows in hand early. So actually pretty curious to see if Pepscola is able to take that same strategy here to a win. The problem is going up against Barrier, and we actually just saw this in the other game. I don't think that aggressive strategy with this deck in particular works out most of the time versus Barrier, but it depends. If Barrier doesn't draw the units that it needs, maybe that works out. But we do see Fiora, we do see Betty White, we do see River Shaper, and the Screeching Dragon all in hand. So plenty of units thus far.
Aphelios is a card that gets a pretty good amount done versus Demacia decks, assuming he can stay on board long enough. But WhatAmI's hand isn't one that creates a welcoming environment for Aphelios.
Yeah.
This is an extremely hostile situation that pepscola is actually just naked throwing the Aphelios down into, saying, I will randomly generate a gun with this next turn, probably with my Dusk Petal, or with my Duskbringer and my Solari Priestess, and just take whichever gun is given to me. All of them are fine.
Yeah, wow, and it looks like we are going to go with the sharp sight here, so just going to pretty easily kill this Aphelios on the side of pepscola. So I think WhatAmI gonna feel pretty good about that. Getting at least one of those Aphelios out of the deck and off the board. So
WhatAmI really just looked pepscola in the face, said, you don't have
just did it.
And ran it out. And just ran it out. And Peps was like, damn, he really said that, huh? That's crazy. You know that they're going to be going over the VODs later, and Peps is going to be yelling at him like, you should have always played around Hush here, and Jordan's going to be like, but you didn't have
Well, even if he had the Hush, it's still suicides with the Aphelios, right? So...
yeah, but you are still trading like a sharp sight for a Hush, which like Hush can get more value, but I don't know. It would kind of depend on what else was in WhatAmI's hand. Without this Shen that we just picked up off the top, the hand was looking not bad, but not incredible.
Well, we got some more damage coming through from WhatAmI, and smartly, again, not going to go ahead and block those, which makes sense. You know, we need to keep our units alive as long as possible, utilize these spells to protect them, and now... we got I can't unsee Donnie Yen and Betty White. So like now that's what this combo is.
Del Toro. No love for Del Toro.
But we got the 1-2 punch here online for WhatAmI. Not only that, I mean, we have more units we can throw it out. We have our choice of a River Shaper or even a Bright Steel Protector here, which seems decent. If we throw down the Bright Steel Protector, that keeps single combat open, and it also keeps Golden Aegis available if that is a route that we want to take for a rally. So I really like this from WhatAmI, keeping that 4 mana open. And, you know, it's funny. We always talked in the past about how barrier decks want to keep 4 mana open. Generally, it was for things like Riposte. Now with Golden Aegis coming out, I mean, that's a foregone conclusion. They need 4 mana to be open, right? That's rally mana, and you have Riposte mana now.
And that's what makes it so difficult to play against this deck now. We would talk a lot about the bluff capabilities of a deck like Shen Fiora, and now when you're looking at all the combat tricks that they have available, and you say, okay, you know what? It's actually just not safe for me to attack this turn, and then they just rally on you instead, and still get that barrier, so you still can't attack into the unit. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, and pepscola is slowly but surely just getting his field whittled down a little bit here from WhatAmI. Still a little bit problematic though, right? Because these Sky Shadows are going to continue to punch through some damage, and when, you know, things like Shen and Fiora on the defensive, it doesn't feel that great using spells like Riposte and things of that nature to actually protect them. So, you know, that's why we saw WhatAmI take the damage last turn. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see WhatAmI take a little bit more damage this turn. So I think pepscola is doing a good job of not only staying healthy, but pushing through slowly but surely a little bit of damage, knowing that WhatAmI can't afford to lose his units.
This is a really juicy Golden Aegis turn for WhatAmI, I think, but he doesn't know what gun pepscola got. And if it was Gravitum, then this Fiora and this Golden Aegis is just like not really that great. And assuming that he did go for, wait a minute. Okay, we do have one more. I was like, I know that we've seen a lot of these, but now we do know that pepscola, not only does he no longer have the Aphelios, but he's very far away from Gravitum. Even if he did have it, that's 2 Aphelios down. WhatAmI should be super safe to go in for the Fiora this turn.
Yeah, and Warrior coming down now too. So, I mean, this might prompt a concerted strike out of WhatAmI.
Probably. And I'm a little curious how this Hush gets played for Peps.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to come down this turn.
Probably not this turn, but I think that eventually Peps is going to play a unit that does just die to Fiora's 3 HP, and that'll be the end of the game.
This is really good for WhatAmI. I mean, Peps has to know there's a concerted strike now that a River Shaper came down with 5 mana up. I mean, this is a huge swing for WhatAmI. This feels like such a good concerted strike. And I gotta say, we've talked about the Warrior in the past. I'm not gonna lie, the last couple of weeks, I feel like the Warrior is one of the better choices now. Like, I feel like it gets a lot of work done being a 5-5 with Challenger all of a sudden.
I think every time we've seen it come down, it either got like gravitated into oblivion or just like killed on sight, which sometimes that's what you want out of your randomly generated card. You're like, yeah, you know, none of these have inherent protection, at least in the pool that I was offered. I might as well grab the one where if it works, great. You know, it's no Golden Sister. If you're just trying to bait out removal, Golden Sister is your best bet because you will still have that Silver Sister left over, or vice versa. But yeah, the Warrior, as you had mentioned, really strong into these backline units like the Shens. Like the Shen's not really a backline unit, but your opponent gets to be very selective about when to send it into combat, and it doesn't play as well on defense as it does on offense. So the Warrior definitely doing a lot against a card like that. Question now, though, is WhatAmI going to attempt to kill this Sky Shadow with the Fiora? I think the answer is yes. I think the Hush comes out. I think the Concerted is the follow-up. And then eventually WhatAmI is just able to find another Fiora kill while Peps doesn't have second Hush.
Yeah, Fiora just getting a lot of work done here. And this is the problem when you're playing, you know, this many units. This many smaller units, I should say, on the side of pepscola. But yeah, here comes the single combat. And this is going to at least prevent the Fiora from dying. Also utilize this barrier on the Shen. So going to feel really good finally getting rid of all of those units on the side of pepscola. Like I mentioned before, pepscola was doing, I think, a pretty good job of utilizing those smaller units to push damage while knowing that WhatAmI isn't going to want to sacrifice his units as blockers. But now that WhatAmI has had the time to slowly pick those units off, it's a problem. pepscola is falling behind now, and I don't know if he'll be able to get back in this quick enough before WhatAmI actually just closes out the game.
I mean, there's nothing in pepscola's hand that stops WhatAmI from winning the game with Concerted Strike this turn.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. That's a really good point. And it's like even something like Messenger, you think to yourself, like, man, if I put more units on the board that Fiora can kill, it just feels bad. So like what do I actually play here? I mean, you could play the 1 mana Moonglow and try to like sneak it in before the Concerted Strike gets played, but I think no matter what, you're just kind of in a sticky situation. Like you said, we know there's no response to the Concerted Strike. And there's no good play for pepscola because if you do tap out of mana, now you're just giving WhatAmI free range to just go ahead and play it.
Yeah, and it's this awkward thing where if you do go for the Moonglow, I think that just forces WhatAmI into playing the Concerted Strike. And as Blevins loves to say, don't make a bluff that your opponent has to call. WhatAmI would have no choice but to fire off the Concerted Strike in response, and you don't actually have a way to stop that from losing you the game.
Yeah, this is not looking good for pepscola. I mean, Cosmic Inspiration is that doesn't do anything. This is
you should be happy. This is your your new favorite.
Okay, yeah. So yes, and I love WhatAmI as a player, but now I got to start to question like how is he doing this? Like what does he know that we don't? Something's up, man. That's a lot of wins. That is a lot of wins because this would be, I think he's won straight up 3 times if I remember correctly.
You were the one tracking this. You should know.
Yeah, I think it was 3 times. And he's also top 8'd, I think, like 2 other times, or top 16. So this would be a 4th win if that's the case. It'd be pretty incredible. I mean, granted, we have had a lot of OLSs, but still. So we'll see if this is going to be the path to victory again for WhatAmI here, taking a pretty quick 2-0 versus pepscola, it looks like. Going to get the kill with the Fiora. Yep, and this is going to prompt the Concerted Strike for the final proc on her win condition. Betty White finally getting a game win here. Man. And this just goes to show you the power of barrier too, right? We constantly are talking about these barrier decks. Is Fiora not at 3 out of 4? Or are we just... Okay, yeah,
he's deciding between Concerted Strike and Sharp Sight. Which one's the more...
I guess
better option.
I guess, like... I don't know if that matters, but alright. And there it is, the animation for the Fiora win con here.